Right, welcome to the podcast. This is Half Cut and Underinformed. We're in the Piper Whisky Lounge up the stairs on George Square. This is our first kind of different podcast. We've got two guests today. We have an expert and a relative novice to the game. Gary is our expert here, welcome. Do you want to give an introduction to yourself, mate?
Yeah, so my name's Gary. I run the East City Whisky Club in Glasgow. I also work for Scotch Whisky Auctions as well, so I've been there for about 2-3 years. My background's in hospitality, so I worked about 17 years in the pubs, through some various whisky bars, and then ended up in my current job. The whisky club's been running for about 6 years now. So the main reason I started the whisky club in the East End of Glasgow was when I first moved to Glasgow about 10-11 years ago. First moved into the West End, and all the whisky bars seemed to be around the West End. And then when I moved up to the East End a year or two later, and there was no whisky bars at all. You know, so that was kind of, well, it didn't have any whisky before I started drinking in there, but that's another story altogether.
So, and also we've got Sean. Sean, you're relatively new.
I don't really know my whiskies at all.
That's a good introduction, fair enough. We don't want to give your employer any reason to sack you. So this is a Friday night in a pub.
Aye.
Right, we'll take it away. We're going to do a blind taste test, more or less. We've got 3 drams. One of them is ours, I did say that, so you can figure out which one it is. Sean, I don't expect you to know. Gary, obviously we do tastings with you every month, but everybody at the tastings usually is pretty well versed in whisky, if you get us.
Yeah, I would say the vast majority of them. You know, there's always 1 or 2 new starts, but then
every month.
That's what we want every month, is we want at least another 1 or 2 people every month that maybe are a wee bit less confident about whisky. And, you know, as you know, our tastings are pretty laid back, so it's a nice easy way to get people relaxed.
So we're going from left to right.
Cool.
We're going left to right. As I said, the only thing I'll give you is that they'll get progressively heavier as they go through, so we start relatively light, progressively heavier. Have you got any advice for Sean? Because Sean, you've drank whisky before, haven't you?
I have, mate, aye. Like my dad, my uncles, they like a whisky. Like every Hogmanay or whatever, when we're together, they'll make a pure thing of having a dram. And for years I would just be drinking it and that is absolutely brilliant, man.
You like it?
Aye, pretty much, man.
That's absolutely fucking.
I mean, I think everybody I know has had a bad whisky experience when they're young.
Aye.
Well, usually when you're...
I'm talking about when you're maybe like 15, 16. You know,
just off a bottle of teachers.
You're raiding your sort of your parents' cupboards, or your grandparents have got some leftover booze, and you just grab whatever you can, sort of thing. And you know, I'm certainly no different. You know, I ran into a parked car after a bottle of whiskey one night. I remember getting back up the road, and I was absolute spewing my ringer, like horrific. And I just looked up, and there was sort of like drill and everything hanging out my mouth, and I had stones from the pavement stuck in my forehead.
Fuck's sake.
And I said I would never drink whiskey ever again, and of course, lo and behold.
You're lucky. You're in Whisky Club, you're doing alright.
Look at me now, man.
You had any bad experiences with whisky?
No really bad experiences, just like, as I said, drinking the whisky at Hogmanay. Like, I know my dad, he always gets Lafroig.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's probably fairly brutal to start with.
Exactly, aye. I think he just gets it because, like, he knows my uncle and that, they don't really like it, so he just needs to pour them the
A smart man.
Your dad bought one of yours and all, actually.
He did,
I enjoyed it.
Aye.
Well, right, sound, we'll get stuck in. So this goes for not just Sean, but anyone trying a whisky for the first time. What's your advice for like actually sipping a whisky? Like,
so, well, that's probably one of the most important things, is especially when you're drinking single malt whisky, because generally they'll tend to be a little bit stronger. Mm-hmm. So your stuff you'll buy from the supermarkets and things like that will usually be, 40%.
Right.
Your supermarket sort of whiskies. But once you start to get into sort of single cask whiskies, cask strength whiskies, you've got to bear in mind that these are ramping up to 50, 55, 60% alcohol. So
Right, we're not at that, we're at 51, so this one's 51.
So even at 51%, you know, the first thing I would say is to smell it.
Right.
You know, so one of the best ways that you're going to get the maximum smell out of
You're
it.
swirling that.
Yeah. So the reason you swirl it is basically just to get a wee bit of air in the glass. You know, is get it moving around. But the other thing as well is I would always say try and smell, but keep your mouth open just a tiny wee bit. So you're breathing in through your mouth as well as your nose, and you'll notice the difference. You'll get it going right down the back of your throat.
Got to be
You're
some
then
horrendous
getting it
noises.
right through. And then the other thing as well is, even myself, even now, you know, drinking whiskey for a long time, is the first nip to your lips is always going to be quite harsh. So the worst thing you can ever do is kind of like swig a big mouthful back the very first time. The first time you really just want to almost just wet your lips. Just enough so you can kind of get enough and coat your mouth.
Right, slans, lads. Thanks for coming.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, lads.
Sanja.
I've been biting my lips so they're fucking burning. Oh, fuck. That's serious fuck.
The best bit of advice I got was after Mark, previous podcast guest, was leave a wee bit in your tongue and almost let it dissolve like a milky bun.
And
Like
that's
almost
it.
coat it.
Almost the smaller the sip you take, the more flavour you're going to get out it. You know, because bear in mind, you've not been drinking any strong alcohol. Well, I'm guessing none of you have been drinking any strong alcohol before this. So, you know, like I say, your first really strong alcoholic drink, the last thing you want to do is throw back a massive swig and gargle it like mouthwash, as you're just going to burn every taste bud in your mouth before you've even got yourself accustomed to it. The other thing as well is even just with tiny a sip at the start, then you can kind of start to determine, is this too hot? You know, is this too alcoholic? Does it need a wee bit of water? I mean, the other thing I would always say is drink whiskey the way you want to drink it. You know, don't listen to anybody that tells you that you can't put ice in a single malt. Don't listen to anybody that tells you that you can't put whiskey in a cocktail. You know, if you're paying your hard-earned money for a bottle of whiskey, drink it however you want. Drink it with Iron Brew if you want. You know, it's like you've paid for it. It's like, as long as you enjoy it. You know,
You're not getting cheap whiskey, so just do what you want, mate.
Yeah,
you spend a good amount of money. Right, what's the thoughts, lads? Gary, in fact, I did say blind taste test. What do you think?
I think I know what that is.
I fucking hope you do.
I think that's yours.
Well done, aye. So that's Merchant Select, 10-year-old Dillion, very light, very fruity, because it's fully matured for 10 years in a first fill bourbon cask.
I only know because you gave me a bottle of that previously, and I've necked it already. So.
Have you? Good on you.
Aye. I mean, to be fair, I did share it out with a few people. I gave a couple of samples out to people as well. Yeah, general consensus, just a really solid Speyside dram. You know, it's,
I nearly killed that lassie at the Hingway at that festival because she fucking loved this stuff and she kept coming back up. And then I'm no kidding on it. Do you know these square bottles and they've got a tiny wee bit in them? I'm not going to say which whisky festival it was. I realise I've just started, fuck. But I poured a mass. I'm not kidding on it. Must have been about that, like up to there. And the lassie was rubber after it, and I was like,
no.
oh no. But she was not. She was with her man. But it was my mistake that I in our bottles there's like a tiny wee bit left,
Right.
and it looked tiny. And I poured it. And I was like, oh, what if? Because she was the last person. It was just before last call. I've gave her a half pint of whiskey, man, at 51%.
And that last that was sleeping outside.
it's yeah. I mean, that's the thing as well. You know, when you're drinking whiskey, it's a strong spirit. You know, you do want to take your time with it, and it's not getting cheap these days either.
No.
You know, it's okay. You know, you can get your, like say, your supermarket stuff for maybe £25, £30 a bottle, but once you start to get into whiskey, you really get into whiskey. You know, you'll be paying 50, 60, maybe £70 a bottle. You want to take your time over that stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know,
That's we spoke about it before. How that's a Scottish thing where you try and drink as fast as possible, didn't you? Like I do it. You probably do it. You just you get a booze and you just I'm going to get drunk here and just spank it. So it's one of the ones you kind of need to shift that attitude. I found it very difficult to do it.
I find it the other way around, you know. It's like I spend a lot of time in pubs, you know. It's probably too much time in pubs in Glasgow, and but I go into pubs for the social aspect, you know. It's like every pub that I drink in, you know, whether it be the Pot Still or it be the Gate or the Ladywell or any of these pubs, it's like I know most of the people behind the bar and I'll know most of the regulars that are on the other side of the bar. So any time I walk in, I'll be in there for a good 2-3 hours, you know, and I'm kind of consciously trying not to drink strong stuff. You know, it's like always stick to half pints. You know, it's like never drink pints because you'll just drink them as quick as a half pint.
That's true, aye.
And the same with whiskies. I'm kind of like spying the gantry and I'm going, right, what's 40%? What's 43%? Actually, I've not tried that. What's that one? That's 62. I'm like, no, Christ, no. It's like, so yeah, I always find the actual getting pissed is kind of like a side thing that I could probably do without. You know?
It's a side effect.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate side effect. You know,
it's like, I mean, a good fucking side effect from me.
Well, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it has its ups and downs, you know. But
mate, I was trying to explain this to my missus. I've spoken in a previous podcast about I was texting you. I got my fire lit and I got it functioning, and I could. Fuck me, I didn't realise how hard it was to keep a fire going in your house, man. But
is this what, a coal fire or
coal
a wood
fire,
burner?
mate, but it's smokeless coal and it takes for ages to heat up, so I went through like a full bag of kindling to get it. But anyway, I had a bottle of...
Sounds like a man that doesn't know how to make a fire.
As a man that doesn't know how to make a fire. But I tried to have a dram, and I had a dram, and it was... I talk about it all the time. It's the... Well, I say Kilburn, it's no Kilburn. No Witchburn either. Fuck.
Kilcairn?
No, it's Hingme's. Hazelburn, aye, it's got a burn at the end, that's what it is. See it all Oloroso Sherry, I love it. It's the 8-year-old.
The recent one.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, but it's 56%. And I went on to, because there was a Macallan sitting there at 40%, and I was like, I'll try that. I drank it and I said, that kind of, it's too watered down. And I said that phrase, my missus like, what percentage is it? I said, it's 40. She's like, what are you talking about?
It's normal drinking strength.
I know.
But you forget, you know, so not necessarily forget, but it kind of becomes in the background is when you're drinking sort of, the more you get into whiskey and the more you start drinking sort of cask strength stuff like you know, the Merchant Select stuff, you kind of get carried away and you forget that some of these are like 40-50%. I mean, you know, you were down at the festival the other weekend and you probably hear it from tons of people that come up to your stall and they're like, oh, it doesn't drink like a 55%. You know, it's like, and they're right, you know, when you're used to drinking sort of like 50-60% whiskies, sometimes you'll get a 50-55% ABV and you're like, I drink that like it's a 43%, you know, it's just going down really nice, really easy.
It doesn't sound like it's much, but it does.
It does. It makes a massive difference after you've had 4, 5, 6 drams. You know, drinking 40% and 6 drams drinking 50-60%. You'll know it by the end of the night, or your legs will know it by the end of the night. Anyway,
Man,
you know,
your level goes up. Like when I went to the first tasting, trying ones at that range, I'm like, it's like Rocky Fuel, Jason. Why have you brought me here, man? I'm still blazing, drinking pints against him. And you're like me 9 months ago, and were we all at that point?
Oh, it was longer than 9 months ago.
Maybe
a year and a half, mate. Time's flew.
Time flies when you're drinking the cash drink and stuff. But see a drink like that now tastes like 40s, does that make sense? It's like what you can handle, you've got to be match fit.
Match fit.
Yeah,
match fit.
No, I get it.
Fully fledged alcoholic.
I get it, you know, it's like, because it does become, your palate gets more accustomed to it as well, you know, but also as well, I think the more that you drink cask strength whiskies, the more, or certainly for me anyway, the more I can gauge, right, that needs a wee bit of water, you know, it's like, and it could be the same whiskey one day from the next, and one day I'm like, drink that straight.
What is it about it that makes you go, I need to put water in it?
It could be what you've been eating that day, what you've been drinking, whether you've been drinking something earlier in the day, or whether it's your first drink of the day, or it could be anything. It could be because you were rough for the night at 4 and you're just going like, Jesus, that's.
You like to have a bit of water? What do you think?
I like it, mate. It's lovely, aye.
This is the one you've already bought.
Aye.
So this is.
But I just think
Say it's lovely to the camera. Blink if you're right.
but I would say to me, it's just whiskey, don't know if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
It's just
I
it
find
tastes
that,
like whiskey and tastes like one I like.
Aye.
Don't know why I like it.
Good.
mate. So I was going to ask you if you'd had any like taste notes or anything. Taste notes, like I think they're
So,
big for people who have been in whiskey for ages. And people have loads of
People love tasting notes.
So
I mean,
what is this? Like,
people. Yeah, I used to taste like blueberries or daft
yeah,
shit. It
people
could be
get,
anything.
people get fucking
Could be
carried
taste
away
like a
with
hospital
taste.
floor. Stuff.
Smells
So
like coal fire.
Smells like coal
Aye.
fire.
Yeah,
So,
it's
some of
right,
them
aye.
did see you having actually putting that quality at.
Yeah.
See cleaning up after myself. Fucking coals oil the dog and all that.
So
Some of it does smell like
Yeah,
that.
I think it's sweet. I'd get like
Aye. So see, mate,
caramelly or something like that.
aye, so
yeah.
that's good enough. I'm terrible with taste notes. Like I'm not good at it, but you don't need to be. Like
Aye.
you just need like that. It tastes like whiskey and it's one I like. That's how I started.
That's the main thing.
That's
You know,
I'd usually say I have struggled. I struggle getting the description from the back of my head to my tongue. If you get me, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like the taste note, if you just say
sorry, I got
confident,
one,
if you
aye.
just say a taste note confidently enough, you'll go, aye, that's aye. Old boot, I get old boot and all.
Who's that?
Aye, people are suggestible, man.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, like, you know, when I used to do sort of bigger tastings, I would make a point of never telling people, like, oh, it smells like this and it tastes like this, because within seconds, everybody in the room's going, aye, and it's like, well, you're not learning anything, you're just nodding and agreeing, whereas, so I would flip it on its head and I would go around people and I'd go like, right, you know, what do you smell or what do you think it tastes of? And then even then, like you're saying, a lot of the time, I think the problem is trying to bring it from the back of your head, even though you know, you'll know certain things that you can taste and you can smell, but it's trying to bring them and describe them.
Yeah.
But the easier way of doing it is going, what does it remind you of? Rather than what does it smell like or what does it taste of?
Right.
And then once you start to sort of think back, then you start to get things like, so for that, so I'd say like honeycomb, you know, like crunchies, like crunchy bars, something like that. It's got that sort of like sort of burnt sugar type thing going on, you know. And again, then once you start to find something in there that you can relate to, then you can start to find other. So for me, like a lot of the time, I had a really sweet tooth when I was a kid, like a really sweet
I
tooth.
still do. I'm trying my best to get diabetes.
So a lot of my tasting notes, or if somebody asks me what something tastes like or something smells like, I instantly go back to sort of like sweetie shops a lot of the time. So it's things like sour plumes, cola bottles, fruit salads, blackjacks, you know, all of these sort of like penny chews that you used to get, or wow, I don't know if you guys will remember, they probably weren't a penny.
Penny chews are £4.
Inflation and all that, you know. But yeah, that's kind of an easier way of finding what it reminds you of, rather than sort of like trying to dig into the back of your brain and go like, what is it that I'm looking for? You know, it's just kind of going, right, what does it remind me of? So it was like a tasting I'd done a while back, and it was a peaty whiskey. I think it was a Campbelltown actually. And I asked somebody like what it reminded them of, and they said, reminds me of being a kid in the summertime. Remember when it was like so hot that the fucking tarmac used to fucking melt on the fucking pavement?
They want a
It's
job
like,
with remote.
smells like that, you know. And I was like, fuck, that's really good. It's like,
They want a job with the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. It's like for the bottles.
I'm stealing that, man, you know. It's like, because even I remember that as a kid, you know. It was like really hot
You
summers.
used to put pennies in it and that. I remember
Yeah,
that.
it was like the tarmac got so hot, it was like almost back to sticky, and the tar started to melt, and you could kind of like push it with your fingers, and it was like, and I just thought like that's genius, you know. That's what it should be, is like sort of, because that's individual to you, like you remember that, but then suddenly everybody else goes, fuck, I used to do that when I was a kid as well, you know. So yeah, it kind of puts people right back to a certain place.
I think that as well is another thing that whiskey. It took me a while to realise that it's very no nostalgic, but it can take you places in your head.
Yeah.
Like see if I'm, and again I'm talking about that Hazelburn. I've said it hundreds of times, but first time I let my missus smell that, I could see her drift off and she was thinking about something. I was like, that's what whiskey does to you.
Cool.
Like, you can think of, like, it takes it and she's like, oh, that smells dead old. And I was like, but it reminded you of something. I could see her eyes were like, she was drifting away. And I was like, that's what it's all about. And it doesn't happen, don't get me wrong, it doesn't happen with all of them. Like, but you do it and you go, oh, that's quite a good feeling.
When you find a good one, you know.
I can't shut up about it at Hazel.
You know, again, like I was saying earlier, you know, I think that Hazelburn was only 8-year-old single malt, and I think it was coming in, 70, 75 quid a bottle. It's a lot of money to weigh down when you've never tried it before, you know. And nobody's going to give you a taste of that before you buy a bottle. Okay, the other bottles, you know, it may be 40, 50, 60 quid, and if you've got a good spirit shop, you know, we're lucky enough, we've got, like, say, good spirits and stuff in Glasgow, and they will give you a taste of some stuff, but, you know, if you're not 100% confident and you're not a big whiskey drinker, you know, walking into a shop and laying down 70 quid on a bottle that you've never tasted is...
Gary, that was impressive. So, just so that you're aware, Hazelburn is a product of Springbank. Springbank is in Gary's Whisky Club on Wednesday, so he's are more than welcome. That was a master class of advertising there.
Sorry. Yeah, we're all sold out as well, so there's actually no tickets left. But yeah, it should be a good night.
When is that again? Just so I remember.
This will be the end of October. I think it's the last.
Oh, is it end October?
Last Wednesday in October, I think it is.
Probably, I thought it was.
It feels like it's because we done the last tasting. We done at the start of the month, which is a wee bit weird. But yeah, we couldn't pass up the opportunity to get a hold of Andrew. So yeah, we made the most of it. But it's weird now. It feels strange to me. It's like feels like I'm going 2 months without doing a tasting, which is kind of weird. But as I say, we'll make up for it at the end of the month.
Definitely. So what's your opinion? It's just something that you like, that whiskey?
I know, it's nice, mate. It's sweet.
What I was
get
going
what Gary's saying with the talking about crunchies and that.
Aye. See, that's what I find as well.
Like caramel to me.
Aye. When what you were talking about there is that some people suggest things and people are going, aye, but I'm finding myself going, no, that's not what I'm getting. And then somebody will say something else, I go, all right, but that's it. So you know what it is, you'll find it eventually.
You know. And again, I think the more whiskies that you drink and the more variety of whiskies that you try, then the more that you'll find sort of different things. And you'll also find as well what you like and what you don't like. You know, is when I used to work in the bars, and I was always quite surprised when you would get, I mean, I worked in a whiskey bar in Edinburgh for about a year or two. This was way back. And it was like American tourists walked in. And usually American tourists, certainly back sort of 15 odd years ago, you know, you would expect them to come in and ask for a Balvenie or a Macallan. It was pretty much what most Americans would ask for. And there was 2 young girls walked in, one wanted an Ardbeg and one wanted the Lafroig, and I was like, don't you? It's like, and you know, I think a lot of people, there's still like this stigma as well, where it's, you know, I've seen it myself, you know, females walking into a bar and asking for a Lafroig, and they're like, you sure, love? This is a bit strong for pretty little girls like you know, and you're like, fucking mate, drink bottles of this stuff, man, you know. It's
for
like,
context, explain, Sean, why somebody would say that. What is Lafroig and Ardbeg?
So yeah, I mean, so you Lafroig and Ardbegs from the Isle of Islay, so they're all smoky, peaty whiskies.
You had the smoky peaty one before?
Well, I've tried Lafroig.
Lafroig.
What did you think about that?
Barking.
You're not going to like the last one?
I thought that the first time I tried it, no, but I actually quite like the peated ones now. I get done at the end of the scale, never liked it now ever since we tried ones at the festival we won't speak about, and I actually quite liked it.
I said to Jason earlier on, when we were talking about whiskies, that I tasted Lafroig, that was like the first one I tried, and then said I've kind of got into drinking whiskey, maybe 6 months to a year, and my brother-in-law, he drinks Highland Park, and you were like, that's a peaty whiskey, mate.
What is that? Is it?
So is
that a lower scale peaty?
Lower down.
My experience with it, I've not tried many Highland Parks. I've tried maybe 1 or 2, but again, I'm still that early that I wasn't going that heavy into stuff.
So you've got different sort of levels of peat. and you've got different types of peat as well. There's in fact, I'll give you a really good book. It's all about the connection between sort of peat and in Scotland and whisky. So this guy's like some crazy geologist guy, and he goes on a jolly like all the way around Scotland, around different peat bogs, and he tells you about sort of the history of peat bogs in Scotland, because most of them are not used anymore. There's only like a tiny fraction of what used to be used in Scotland. So if you go back to sort of like early sort of 1900s and even earlier, late 1800s, almost all your whiskies were probably peated, or a high proportion. All your Speysides were all peated. And it was mainly because that was their
way of
source of
things.
fuel. Yeah.
So, Sean, the way I done this, listen, I want to flex my knowledge a wee bit here. I'm probably going to I done a course, so I was sitting about 4 yards away up there.
Aye, I'll let you use your skills, mate.
But barley is the kind of the malted barley. That's where I hang with. But to dry it out, you use a kiln. Kiln is like just a fucking oven.
Aye, a big fire.
Aye, just a big fire. But the only thing they would hang out with was peat. And they'd put peat at the bottom. The smell would come off it. And
basically, the smoke locks on.
Aye.
As the barley grains are drying, smoke kind of phenols, they call them, sort of walk on around the outside of the barley. And as the barley starts to dry, that smoky flavour gets ingrained into the barley. And then obviously, once the barley's been mashed, everything else, you'll still get that smoky flavour coming through. So you can peat it to different levels.
Right.
So, give you a rough idea, something like I think a Bunnahabhain is peated to something like about 5 or 10%, but they do a heavier peater version. An Ardbeg, for instance, or a Lafroig is about 50 ppm.
Right.
And then you've got crazy things like an Octomore, which is also in Iowa. It gets peated up to 130, 140, 150 ppm.
You done the 4-day course, I only done the half day one.
But there's something really weird happened. So, like I say, I mean, before mid-2000s, something like that, before Octomore came along, nobody had really peated anything above 50 ppm. Never been done before. And so, obviously, Bruchwadi decided, well, what happens if we just keep going? We'll just keep smoking it and fire more smoke. Because, again, the way that you can peat the barley in different ways. So, like you were saying, Jason, you basically shovel peat into a big sort of fire. The smoke comes through a chimney or through a vent, and it comes onto a floor that's perforated, and all that smoke kind of comes through the holes in the floor and starts to dry the barley. But what you can do is, if you put wetter peat on, you get more smoke, less heat. If you want more heat and dry it quicker but less smoke, you put on drier peats. So they can temper it, you know. It's like the guys that are shoveling in, and they know what they're doing, you know, so they'll know if there's too much smoke coming through, then they'll maybe put on a wee bit more dry peat. Or
the video I watched was a Springbank one. Sorry, this is getting right into the weeds here. But the video I watched to explain it, I done right there. It was we're in the right crowd to say that there, but the video I watched was a Springbank one to explain this, because I done 2 days of learning. I just can't understand seeing things on a sheet. That's how I was shite at school. But
somebody
they showed the video, and they've just got an explanation. It's like Springbank, this is if you're doing Hazelburn, this is no peat. If you're doing Springbank, you're doing a wee bit.
Then long row,
I was, for God's sake, go home in there.
The guy did the course? Seen the teacher?
Nah, he's just fucking clever. But so it was good. I was like watching it going, right, I properly understand that.
So then you go into sort of like different types of peat. So, like you're saying, Lafroig, for instance, you're on a tiny wee island. It's sort of almost out, verging on the Atlantic. So it's a lot more sort of seaweeds, a lot more sort of sea spray coming in. So all of that vegetation that eventually decomposes and goes into the ground and gets more and more compressed, absorbs all of that sort of sea saltiness. Whereas if you're up in Orkney, for instance, so Orkney's average wind speed all year is about 60 mile an hour. So they don't really have any trees in Orkney. but they get a lot of heather and they get a lot of mosses, lichens, things like that. So because there's so much heather on Orkney, their peat is a lot more sweet, honey heather sort of influence.
Is that the sweet peat?
Sweet peat, rather than sort of your big salty peats from Iowa. Then you go into Speyside, or sort of like Aberdeenshire, north of Scotland, even up as far as Caithness. You get a different type of peat again, because it would have originally all been forests. So a lot of pines, sort of oaks, whatever it was, spruce. All of that vegetation is going to be completely different once it's decomposed. So the peats will be different. Even you used to get peat bogs even as far down as like Falkirk. Falkirk used to have peat bogs that they used to cut, which would have been used for like Rosebank. Nah, they're all defunct now. I mean, you can see them.
Basically mine them out.
You can, well, to preserve them, you need to cover them back over. So once you've cut however much peat you want to use, you take the top section, you put that back on, and it basically keeps the process continuing again. Whereas if you leave it, which a lot of them did back in the day, once they didn't realise, so once they'd cut all the peat and the business was running out, they found other fuel sources, whether it be coal or steam, whatever else came along after it. A lot of the guys didn't realise that, so they just left them open, and then basically, but as soon as that's left open, all that peat underneath is screwed. It will just dry out, and it's then now not a carbon capture as well. So nowadays they're a lot more responsible, but you can actually look on like Google Earth and stuff like that, and you can still see the lines of where they used to cut the peat, even just out.
See, when you go to, like, I went to my missus, her mum and dad, they live in Harris.
I was about to say that,
so you can see them, you can see the lines they cut out.
Oh, I mean, Harris, they probably still use peat to burn their
You
fires.
still see them at cutting it.
I mean, Harris is still fucking shut on a Sunday. I was showing for a pint. I had to go to a fucking I had to go to a museum.
Even the boozer's shut on a Sunday?
Everything's
Don't
shut.
mind supermarkets, but boozer's got to stay
The Co-op
open.
was shut.
That's fine.
When you go to the Outer Hebrides, everything's shut.
They're not.
Like if you go out to
Nearly ended up going against the Outer Hebrides.
North West or
Started
something
a
like
gang war.
that. I don't know if Tyree's the same, but quite a lot of these wee islands like out in the west, far Outer Hebrides, is like everything's shut. You can't even hang your washing out on a Sunday still.
No, you can't. It's
illegal?
No, it's just
Right,
frowned
lads,
upon. Old Christian things,
That is an old Christian thing, aye.
Fishing a Friday, isn't it?
I think that's a Catholic thing, because the Proddies don't do
No,
it.
it's very the other way up there.
Fair boy.
That bit's for the X-rated bit after. We get the wee debates and
That's for the patrons.
I was going to say, see Highland Park, I'd never tried it before, and we went to Smudge's wedding. So I was up in St Andrews and there was halves of managers on the table. We get the bus back down and everyone just put all the managers on the table into a
Swipe the
bag.
table.
So on the way back down, people were doing shots of like Fireball, Tequila Rose, and then
Highland Park.
we ran out of them, and then the whiskies came out and it was a Highland Park at the end. There were loads of house, they were quite nice.
So, I've not spoke to anyone about that wedding, right?
Brilliant.
It was great.
Incredible.
But I was sitting next to him and we had wine, miniatures, Macallan miniatures, Highland Park,
Tequila Rose.
Fireballs.
I can't remember the food coming out, and I can't remember it until I was sitting on the front seat of the bus going back down the road.
You were outside my flat.
Speech must have been brilliant.
So you basically missed the whole fucking wedding.
I did. I've not spoke about it.
See, when you got there was a margarita truck, and then there was just free margaritas, free beers. There was too much booze, and the food was a wee bit too late, but thanks, it was a good wedding. Great wedding.
I smashed cheers. I don't remember raced it, but it was a great wedding.
What you
You're fucking getting invited to another wedding, mate, after
No,
that.
well, I fucking hope I do. I'll be meeting my own wedding, I think.
You're getting banned for that as well.
What was the main? I can't remember now.
I can't remember this.
No idea.
Right, we're going for number 2.
Right.
Number 2 is the middle one. See what you think. Anton took a smell at that and
I quite like the smell. Is it a coastal number?
depends what your range is. And yes, it's coastal, aye.
It smells absolutely gorgeous.
I think that's
There's no, this one is the Myers, I'm just saying that for the plug.
I think
This is the actual
This
brand
is
one.
theirs, aye.
Have you forgot what one it
I
is?
forgot
Check.
it. I know what it is, I don't know the exact details yet.
It's a lot sweeter than what it smells like, I think. But I know he's lost.
A wee kick it in there, a wee.
It does, mate. I know what you're talking about. It's the first time I've tried this.
I think I get lured in a wee bit there, the sweetness. There was a wee kick to the back of the throat.
So I'm going to say this is a lower ABV, this one, than yours.
Sorry, I'm looking at the map here to see if it is coastal.
Now
Might be
see what
coastal.
it is while he guesses.
It's kind of... you could maybe...
Is that the Clyde or something? That's coastal.
That's what it is.
Check the ABV, see if guys right.
It's got to be a lower ABV, I think. Even just tastes a wee bit thinner.
We might need to take this one to VAR because there's no good ABV in the front
Yeah,
of the bottle.
front of the bottle. Let me see what it is in the map.
So what's your thoughts on that, Gary? What do you think it is?
I mean, I've no idea on the distillery.
Right, a couple of hints. It's actually right next to where Smudge's wedding was.
Right?
I don't know Smudge.
Fucking space. I don't know Smudge.
I was up next to St Andrews. I was in St Andrews, apologies.
Right, so what's your guesses on ABV?
So I'm going to say it's about 46.
Don't show him the ball just yet.
43, mate.
No bad. No, hold on.
47 and a half.
What else? What else you think for it? You any cask type? Any cask?
I'm going to say it's a bourbon cask, I think.
It's fucking good.
Territory. Region. Territory.
I want to say it's a Lowland, but there's not that many Lowlands.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fucking good.
I did want to get it right.
Is that King's Barnes?
No. Which is fucking right where Swans get married.
Aye.
It's not an Eden Mill.
No.
Oh, it's a Lindors. Ah, nice.
So you're right, you're bang on. 46%. Slowed.
You get the
So
ABV
that's
right now?
The cask type is bourbon, sherry, and a wine barrique.
That's where the wee funkiness is coming from.
How can
That's
you get a region for that?
So,
Experience, obviously, but like, what is it?
I'll be honest, nowadays, you really can't. It's like, it used to be quite defined. So, you had Highlands, Lowlands,
Right.
Islas, Campbelltowns, and that was pretty much it.
Right.
Some people would argue the Islands is another region. It used to just be bundled in with Highlands. Speyside was bundled in with Highlands as well. So you had kind of distinct flavour profiles back then. This is sort of like in the 70s, 80s, 90s even. It was all still quite stuffy and quite regimented. I mean, I'm talking about the whole whisky industry. It was all still a lot of old men that ran all the fucking distilleries, ran all the business. And so a lot of the guys were very much, don't fucking change anything. You know, it's like, just keep doing what you're doing.
Aye.
Don't change anything, because consistency is the key.
Aye.
If you're selling tons and tons of this stuff, it's got to be the same in Taiwan as it is in Tullabarton. Or wherever it is. So your regions were quite distinct. So Lowlands was always kind of quite light, quite floral, grassy, fresh cut sort of hay bales type of thing. You know, it was always quite light, quite fresh. Highlands was always a wee bit more robust, but then Highlands would cover everywhere from probably about 3 miles over the river from Lindor. So Lindor sits right on the River Tay. On the other side of the Tay, you're into the Highland region. So I mean, it's right on the borders, right on the borders. But they've went for a really Lowland style whiskey. That was their intention when they first started. But the Highlands could cover anywhere from Perth, Dundee, Aberdeen to Oban on the other side. You know, which you're going to get totally different whiskies from somewhere in Brecon to Oban. But they would have really distinct styles about them as well. So they kind of started breaking them up. So the Highlands kind of got broken up into East Highland, West Highland. But they all did have quite a distinct flavour profile to them, you know. Obviously the Isle is a big one because it's smoky.
Yeah.
And you know an Islay whiskey, as soon as you smell it or taste it, you're like, fuck, yeah, that's an Islay.
Right.
But nowadays, it's completely changed. Now you can get a lowland whiskey that's peated. Now you can get an Islay whiskey that's unpeated. So it's a lot harder now.
Which is fucking very impressive considering he's got one of the reasons why he's just done something fucking impressive there.
But it's process elimination as well. So you're just kind of, first thing I'm kind of going off of is, right, what's the cask type? So I'm thinking, right, it's a bourbon cask in there, but there's something kind of weird and funky in there, which would be that wine cask.
So how do you think that's, I'm going to go technical here, how do you think it's been aged? Do you think it's, because I don't know anything Londores, so do you think it's starts?
So it'll be,
is that
it'll be, they'll go into the warehouses and pick multiple casks that they think they want their core range to taste like. I didn't actually have a look at the bottle. Is it just the standard bottle?
I'll show you a picture. It's a standard bottle, I think.
So if this is their kind of core release, is it? Oh no, it's a cask of Windows, right? Aye, so this was a wee bit different, but yeah. So it's the same makeup that they were using before. So what did you say? Bourbon, STR, and was there a bit of sherry in there? Did you
sherry
say?
and wine.
Aye.
I never said STR, but that was also
So, it would be the same sort of thing. But yeah, so because these guys are a really young distillery, you know, it's like, I think they're one of the few that have not quite hit 10 years old yet. So I think Kingsbarns Distillery, which is just up the road, near St Andrews, they just turned 10 last week. I think it was last week or the week before. The distillery brought their first 10-year-old whiskey out.
Right.
Who else? Glasgow, 1770 this year was their first 10-year-old whiskey. So a lot of these, what we call new distilleries, Ardnamurchan's another one, has now hit 10-year-old. You know, I still think of them as young distilleries, and in the grand scheme of distilleries, you know, some of them are going back to, 1820s. So they are young, you know. But they would go in with a specific idea in mind of what they wanted their spirit to taste like once it had been matured. And this is the hard bit, is like, so you're making a whiskey distillery, build the whole thing from scratch, and then you have to go to a consultant and you have to go and ask him. And
how much did they pay you for that?
Well, I mean, Jim Swan, God rest him, you know, he's no longer with us, but he was, a lot of these new distilleries that you'll find, most of them nowadays, they asked Jim Swan, like, how do we get a really good spirit, you know? So he would consult on, like, the actual hardware in the distillery. So, right, if you want a really light, fresh spirit, but you want it really fruity, you're going to have to make your stills in this shape. Your line arms are going to have to be at least this tall. You're going to have them descending that way. And then they're like, oh, well, what about our mash tuns? You know, it's like, well, you're going to have to do long or short fermentations depending on how you want the flavour profile to. So they would go to him with a specification of kind of what they had in their head as what they wanted as a mature whiskey at the end of it.
Sort it.
And then he would come back with a plan and say, right, well, your stills need to be like this. You're going to have to use these types of barrels. He was also, Jim Swan was the guy that came up with the STR cask, which, so...
You right, at the risk of losing folk here. I
know, I get carried away.
No, you're fine. Because this is why I always talk to you, because you have got fucking loads of knowledge. You just go for it.
Just need to remember to tell me to fucking shut up sometimes.
It is.
Actually, it's a complete science.
So, see the first one you tried there, Dillune? Gary was working for a company called Dramwa, and they had the same dram in a STR, alligator char, which is very, very
heavy burn.
So they burn the thing. So it's like very
goes into.
Aye.
So they basically burn the inside of the barrel until it turns like an alligator skin. So it's like, you know, when you've
when you pick up an alligator and you feel it.
You've seen like bits of wood in the bonfire, and it's like that really big sort of like squares. burnt right into the wood.
Aye.
That's basically the inside of the cask.
Right, okay.
But that's what an STR cask is, but
Not
we
quite as
tried-
intense.
Not as intense, but it was mental. The one that we tried there was very light, very fruity, very sweet. That one was fucking mental.
Intense.
Aye, it was
that was
intense,
my
aye.
drama of the table as well. I think
I really enjoyed it. That was the first one you gave us, and you was like, "This, really need to try this."
To be fair, I think it goes to show as well is like, so we sold out of that bottle, and it was because it was my favourite dram.
It's because it's the only one you were trying to sell.
Well, no, I mean I was trying to sell everything, you know. It was, but I think maybe the way they would laid the table out as well. So in my weird whiskey brain, I
I'm
was
going
like,
to be honest, I don't think so.
I-
Can it be the way you lay a table? You can't. There's no way you can put bottles in a row that would put people off for buying things.
no, and in my head when I was setting out the stall, I'd kind of had like, right, sort of bourbon casks, light
This is
bourbon
a night.
casks.
This is a night we went out and ended up out till 4 in the morning.
That was a good night,
Ended
man.
up coming out with.
We thought about Newcastle, eh?
Aye, so that's the
Aye,
STR. Remember we tried the STR.
I was going to say, was it that child band that wasn't
the-
peated, but it tasted like peated?
super
but it was
char,
lovely.
aye.
Okay, aye.
So yeah, it was, aye, so it wasn't quite an STR because I hadn't been shaved before. I think it had just been toasted to hell, that one. But and because I loved that whiskey so much, and we had, I think predominantly it was mostly bourbon cask whiskies we had. We had one sherry cask whiskey,
Your port was good.
and we had a port cask, and we had a Pinot de Chiron wine cask. So the vast bulk of them were bourbon casks and a couple of rums. The rum was a funny one as well. Was we sold out, or the first bottle that we sold on the whole stall at a fucking whiskey festival in Newcastle was a single cask fucking rum. And we got to the point as well where there was a guy and he'd bought a bottle and he was with his pal and he'd done the rounds and then he come back round again and we'd actually sold all the full bottles and all we had was about half bottle that we were using for tasting.
Did they want to buy it off you?
Guys like that will buy it off you.
Did they? What should you charge him?
It was Emma that charged him. I think she charged him like 35 quid for a fucking half bottle.
Me and you're too friendly, you just gave the guy the ball.
I know, I've nearly
They
killed
take
that. I nearly
they
killed
take
that.
that.
See which one to next day.
But then I had another one as well where I think it was the Dallieu and we'd been giving out tasters. We had one bottle left on the stall, but I'd given out all the tasters. There was like the tiniest fucking dribble left in the bottle. No like your bottles where it was like you fucking filled the
it's a
wife's
half litre
glass.
left.
It was like, I mean, literally there was enough to wet your lips. And you could see it was like a guy and his wife and his son, I think it was as well, and he was kind of like, I told him the whole sort of spiel about the superchar barrel and everything else, and he's like, I was like, I can let you smell the bottle. I was like, but there's literally, there's fucking, there's fucking literally, there's vapours in the bottle and I can't open the other bottle, otherwise I can't sell it, you know, and he was like, no, it's fine. And so he kind of had a sniff at it and he's like, oh, fuck, it's good though. And I was like there's tiniest dreg in there and I poured it into the guy's glass and he's like, fucking give me the ball. Give me the ball. So it sold itself, like says, you know, you try and sell everything, but when something's your favourite,
You've
and it's
got
getting-
to
Get a bit passionate about it, I know.
yeah, that's why I went and done the work for Dramore as well. It was like, if it wasn't a whiskey company that I didn't believe in, and I've never had a bad whiskey from those guys. Like, I mean, never had a
Mate,
bad
we
whiskey
were
from
talking
those
about this, and I
guys.
won't name the company, but the company across was selling very expensive whiskey.
Across from you or across from me?
Well, we're not going to
getting-
fucking... We're not going to...
You're getting technical now.
But it was across for you, aye. But yours, the ones you were selling were a lot cheaper, and I much preferred them. I tried them before, and I tried 2 or 3 rares.
Much did Dramo pay used to say that?
This is never
I
happened.
tried them, they were lovely.
I know, I shameless
What's your
plug.
thoughts on the 2 Rain?
Nice way, aye.
No, sorry, sorry, I was whipping out the picture for the third one now when we started. See for that, smelling that one, that smells like candle wax to me.
There is a waxiness, yeah.
There's a funk in it somehow.
That's it. I think
red
that's the
wine?
red wine.
I do like red wine now.
I like the red wine finishes, but I do love red wine.
Is that red wine finish?
Get a bit of
There
sherry
is,
and red
there
wine
is
in it.
red wine in there, yeah.
I don't know if it's a finish, but I think it's just a mixture of cask.
I think
Nah,
it
it's
tastes
just a
sweeter
mixture,
than that
aye.
one.
The same
For
as-
me,
It's what?
I think it tastes sweeter,
Sweeter
than the first one. Aye.
Yeah,
Does it?
Aye, for me, anyway.
That one I had to put what? That one is 5%. So this is how whiskey's weird. That's 5% lower than the first one,
Right.
but I had to put water in that one to try and
just
taste
balance
merit.
it.
Aye,
It's
aye.
like I don't know how it is. I don't know how to explain this without doing this. Like I need to stretch it out like that. That's the only way I can do it. See if you put water in it, you stretch it out. We've got a Glenarchy that we sell 51%, but it's very rich, and you
Aye.
put water in it. It's as if there's too much information in the one place, and
Aye,
you kind
aye.
of put water in it to stretch it out to explain it a wee bit better. It's the only way I
sense,
can.
right?
It's the only way I can, and that's was one of them.
See, when drinking these, I just thought whiskey was whiskey. Famous Grouse teachers have said before.
Right.
Jason took me Guy stuff, other ones, and trying single cask stuff that's been left, just one vat of liquid in a cask, maybe finished. And for me, they're two separate things, and see the variations and the finishings you get.
Right.
When I go back and try normal whiskey for supermarket, I'm like, I've been ruined. Like,
cut the
I'm
mustard
ruined.
now.
So I was
Aye.
go to tastings and somebody go, I'm like, that's gorgeous. They're like, it's like £120 a bottle. I'm
Is
like,
that? I think it is
But
that.
that's the difference between like.
and
See, you got to any festivals and you're trying things
Aye.
at 100, 200. Like there was somebody selling a bottle there for like there was much more expensive stuff. It's 750 quid.
Yeah.
And because you're working there, people are getting, and sometimes they
You're
just don't.
drinking like fucking
just dish it
things
out.
that were like $3,000 bottles.
But they don't.
if you are a chef,
They don't.
it's a good night out with me, Guy and Jason.
Aye,
What was
aye.
that one that we tried at the end of the Saturday night? The bottle was for 1988, 6
Oh,
years
was
older
it-
than us.
Mate,
Was that
that
the
was
Jura?
Was that the year, right year?
the Jura. Aye.
Is that a
aye.
Jura at the
And it
bar?
was unfiltered, it had like the sediment on it. Like it was
That's
just.
right,
They're
aye,
just
aye.
dishing out the samples.
Was it?
aye.
Aye, had a
Oh,
bo-
wait till you experience whiskey festivals, lad.
You get your workers band, mate, all the samples you want.
Well, put it this way, by
Or the banter.
towards towards the end of the Saturday night, you know, once most of the punters were kind of petering out, the only folk that were walking around the stalls were the guys for the other stalls. They just go and have a peruse and be like, what you got under there, you know?
And
It's
left.
like, aye, yeah.
Sucking a lot of corks, as you say.
But nah, it was,
Glad you did CORKS it.
Is that what you said, no?
you know,
You want to come for a show afterwards?
you know that I get subtitled, mate. You know, it's like it's going to be a totally different thing.
No, there's an X-rated one you can pay for.
Only fans.
Aye, only drams. Who was that face? Somebody said that before.
Nah, somebody has said that.
Aye, is it copyrighted yet?
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Right, I was meant to ask you, so you work in a whiskey auction.
Yep.
Just when we're talking about expensive drams, what's the most expensive thing you've came across, or the most rarest thing you've came across?
I actually come across one today, which I've never seen before in my puff. And again, if anybody knows whether this exists or whether it's real, please ping a message and let me know, because I still don't know. I've actually sent Springbank an email because I don't know whether this is genuine or not. So part of my job in Scotch Whisky Auctions is I do all the appraisals and evaluations and stuff like that. So when somebody pings in an email and they say, you know, I'm clearing out my late father-in-law's cupboards and I've just stumbled across a bunch of whiskey that he's never drunk, can you give me a rough idea what it's worth? Then I'll check sort of what the current prices are, not just our auction, I mean like right across the board, and give them a rough idea of what we think it'll go for in the current market. So somebody today sent me a bunch of photos, and it was 3 bottles of Springbank, a 30-year-old, a 21-year-old and a 25-year-old. So all of them, I think, were bottled around about the 1990s. They were all these sort of like shorter, dumpy sort of bottles. 21, 25, seen loads of them. 30-year-old was in a green glass dumpy bottle, and I was like, so my first reaction straight away is like, that's fucking fake. You know, it's like we get a lot of fakes, or a lot of people not necessarily know they're fakes. They've probably bought them thinking that they're the real deal until they get to us, and then I'm like,
New business model,
Sorry.
Anton starts
sorry
selling
to
fake
break,
stuff.
sorry to break a bad news
I've
to you,
actually
mate.
discovered a case of them in my boot the other day.
It's, and I've got to be the guy. It's like, sorry to break it to you, man, but you've fucking bought a Shannon. You've spent fucking $5,000 on something that's no real. And we can't sell it for either. Now that's not to say that we could give them it back and they may be able to sell it on another auction that's not as scrupulous as what we are and don't do the checks.
Dish out the numbers.
You know, that's no for me to say. But we would give them the opportunity to take it back. You know, because like I say, a lot of the time these people have genuinely bought this and spent a lot of money thinking that they've got and they've probably sat on it for like 5-10 years as well.
I think that's my big
showing all their pals. It's like,
this is my pension.
This is my fucking, this is my baby. You know, it's like, this is my start of my collection, and then they bring it into us, and I'm like,
does that happen quite often?
It happens. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a monthly occurrence, but yeah, I would say like
you've told me a story in the Ladybell Beer Garden, and it's the next thing I wrote, the fake story, and
the fake Macallans.
The fake Macallans. You were telling us about this, and it was somebody that fucking faked on the Macallans that were worth a fucking fortune.
Yeah.
What happened with the ferry part? Was it real or no?
Oh,
Springbank?
I said down, I want to know if I'm getting away with it.
So the Springbank.
I'm ringing that for my holiday.
So the Springbank, right? So there was a book. I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a book, and it's like a fucking tome. It's like this thick book. There was a guy. He was like a insane whiskey collector back in the like 90s or something. I think it was first published. No, it must have been maybe a wee bit earlier than that. I'm not sure, but this is like the reference book. So especially for old bottles, you know, it's got everything from independent bottlers from Scotland, from England. There was a lot of Italian bottlers back in the sort of like 70s, 80s, I think it was, that started importing a lot of single malt whiskey over to Italy, which back in 1970s, 1980s, nobody was, certainly in the UK, nobody was drinking single cask whiskey. I mean, like, it was all blends. You know, and most distilleries didn't even sell a single malt whiskey until about the 1990s. Macallan was probably one of the few, and don't get me wrong, you can find Lafroigs from the 1950s and 60s, along with various other distilleries, but generally, you know, these were like small numbers compared to the millions of cases of Bells and Grouse that they were churning out. You know, it was back in those days. You know, it was the blends was where it was at. So anyway, back in the 1990s, there was allegedly, and again, this is just the story, the legend, but back in the 1990s, they reckon that there was a massive run of forgeries of old and rare Macallans, along with other bottles as well. Now, supposedly the Italian mafia were very, very good at counterfeiting. You know, it was one of their best assets was counterfeiting.
I should have made it a movie.
Yeah, it sounds like another one of those angel share type sort of movies, you know. But the problem is nobody really knows exactly what happened or how it came about. There's only bits of sort of evidence, but the whole thing came about was a Swiss hotelier had this really, really old and rare Macallan in his bar. Chinese billionaire goes in, sees said Macallan, asks the barman if he can buy a nip. Barman says, yeah, it's fine, it's not a problem, but the bottle's not been opened, so you need to pay an extra fee, basically an opening fee, because once that bottle's open, he can't resell it. He's basically got to wait until the next billionaire comes in and asks for
another dram.
Another dram. It's going to cost him like, I don't know what it was a nip, maybe like £4,000 or £5,000 for a fucking measure. You know, it's like might be more than that. I don't know. But anyway, billionaire was like, yeah, it's fine, you know, whatever, no problem at all. So, guy opens a bottle, pours him dram. You know, it's like there's big fanfare, lots of fucking, you know, the usual sort of like, it's me in the hotelier, you know, he's like opening his bottle and they're holding the bottle and everything else. And it was, so it made big waves in the whiskey world, you know. It's like that this guy had opened one of these crazy old bottles of Macallan, and it's probably some fucking old boy in Dumbarton or something like that. He was like looking at the bottle and he's like, that doesn't look right to me, or some guy in Speyside or something like that, you know. And he was like, that doesn't look right to me, you know. So it was something really, really minute where it was like something on the label that didn't tie in. I think it was something like it said like Macallan Talisker Distillers Limited or something, or Macallan something Distillers Limited, and the guy was like, aye, but if that's meant to be a 1940s, they didn't own the two distilleries at the same time. That wasn't until such and such. So that was basically kicked it all off. Suddenly it was like mass furore. So then the guy that owned the hotel had to go and get the whiskey tested, like carbon dated, to find out whether it was a genuine article or not. Test come back, turned out it wasn't the genuine article, it was a fake. So then the hotelier had to fucking give the billionaire his money back and whatever he paid on the bottle. I mean, don't get me wrong, he bought this back in the 90s, so he probably wouldn't have paid nearly as much as what it would cost you nowadays, but it still would have cost me a pretty penny back in the 90s. But so he lost all the money that he'd paid for the bottle of whiskey. Then he'd had to give the Chinese boy his money back. But then that wasn't the end of the story. It's like another couple of months later, there was a guy in Macallan Distillery. So Macallan have got like this Easter Elches house, it's called. So it's on a big estate, the distillery's on a big, huge estate. And there's this old sort of like sort of estate house on the land. They kind of use this as a museum type thing, you know. So they've got other old bottles displayed, and so some guy's in the museum, and he's like, I know that bottle that Swiss hotelier had. And so it turned out Macallan, to fill their museum with bottles, had went to the same auction that the Italian guy had bought his bottle at, and they were all fakes.
Oh, no.
There was like Macallan had basically been duped by a bunch of a bunch of their own products.
Sorry, Anton's had to disappear there. His missus has phoned him. Nah, I was only kidding on it, didn't I? I was trying to buy my turn up and back. You'll see this in 6 weeks' time. Right, seeing as he's away, I think he's away for a pish. Do you want to try the third one?
Sure.
Oh, sorry, I've already started.
Nah, it's
getting
sorry.
tucked in.
That'll be happy to one then.
Yep.
I've never tried this before. How do you... Oh no, you don't know what it is. I was going to say, how do you say it?
I'll tell you once I find out what it is.
Give him... I never said draws as well. Give him 2 draws with it.
But yeah, I mean, like you say, straight away, you know that's an Islay. You know, it's like, it's got the smoke behind it. I'm really, really bad, I think because I'm a smoker as well, is... See my palate in detecting smoke. Bad. It's really, really bad. It's like Highland Park we were talking about earlier. Like Highland Park doesn't even taste remotely smoky. Never mind peaty to me. I'm just like, I wouldn't.
That's
even,
mad. That must. You must. See when you're drinking a space side, it must taste like just a spoonful of sugar.
I mean, it's more. I like big flavours. Like it needs to be big. It doesn't need to be dark. You know, it doesn't need to be strong, but it just needs to be big flavours. So, for instance, that Glenlossie that I was selling a couple of weeks ago, super pale. You know, it was like really, really light pale whiskey. I mean, actually, you know, we done well with that. I was really surprised how much we sold of it because, again, you know, people. Same as people eat with their eyes, they drink with their eyes as well, you know. So when you see like a big dark sherry bomb, people are like, oh, that must be fucking good, must be really old. This was like the palest fucking whiskey on the table, and everybody's like, what's that? And I was like, this, my friend, is fucking amazing. It's like, don't be fooled by the colour. And it was like, get some of this in your glass, and it was just like big, fruity, sort of like really sort of like tropical fruits, like fresh, like springtime sort of whiskey, you know. And I was like, this stuff's fantastic. Glenord is another really good distillery for that as well.
Take a tan of that and we'll see. Do your thing again.
Do it again.
Do your thing again.
Dance, monkey, dance.
That was impressive. I was sitting watching it going, how the fuck's he seen that? What's your thoughts on that?
It's nice, mate. I do like that as well. after saying earlier on, I don't think I like peaty ones.
Mate, but that's
do you know what I think part of the biggest problem is when people try whiskey first, and I was guilty with this, it's taking the wee sips. See, you take a sip and you actually taste it. It's see when you bought your whiskey at a wedding or you sit in the year, you take a glug, you're like it's a punch. Do you know what I mean? When you sip it, it's
trying to pace yourself, man. Aye.
I think
that's the difference.
I think I've got the same opinion. See, when I first started drinking whiskey or taste like whiskey, when you said that, I've still got the same thing with peated stuff. I'm still at that stage where
There's a clear difference between they two and that one for me. I would have probably say if you mixed the glasses up, I'd have maybe thought it was the same thing, but I've not got a taste for it yet.
But then you can tell straight away.
But I'm enjoying the different flavour of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just good because that's why you should go to a whiskey tasting, because you get 6 drams
and you can see what you like.
And you can see what you like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can find with your reference point what you like, what you want to keep going with.
Do you want to insert a plug for a whiskey tasting at this moment in time?
He's got one.
I mean,
Oh, you want no?
insert advert.
There will be a whiskey tasting.
Aye, there might be a whiskey tasting coming up. Aye,
Maybe for people who are new to the game.
Aye, definitely no
Might
involved peated whiskey.
Might involve a couple of cocktails.
Involve a cup. We need to iron this one out first before we go any further.
Have a couple of jams, then just say it live and tell it.
Aye, we'll get out there later. So, I'm kind of torn on this one.
What are you saying it?
Oh, I like that one.
I like that, I know.
That's peaty, but I know it's
An up peaty.
Aye.
Like, rather than
you start.
it's an up peaty. Up for the nostril rather than down.
I'm going to sound like a dick. I've turned into the cunt I didn't want to be, but quite
Drinking peated whiskies.
healthy.
Healthy.
Do you know what I was watching last night? See Still Game?
Aye.
See the one where he's in the, it's basically a Haddles and he's doing
Right,
a whiskey
shiny
taste, he
label.
goes, quite healthy. That's me. As soon as I was like, I don't even want to say this, man, I'm going to slag myself here.
You can taste the peat.
So, I'm going to say, and this sounds really fucking stupid, but I'm going to say it's definitely a peated whiskey. But
Correct.
the only reason I'm saying that is because you could take a non-peated whiskey and put it in a whiskey barrel that already had Lefroy in it, and it would take on
Aye, take the flavour.
smoke. So it's definitely, the spirit is peated, but I'm really on the fence of whether it's an Isla or not. It's definitely not Highland Park. It
Ready to take a state of art.
could be a Highland, but is it an Ardmore?
Your career depends on
No.
this.
Springbank's cancelled because you get it wrong.
It's not a Springer.
No, it's not.
It's not a Springer. It's not oily enough.
You
So-
want a wee hint?
Springbank's got that.
enough to
really
give, man.
sort of-
The bottle's purple.
What's the start with?
Right, play hangman, you give you a couple of words. But a Villa were constant.
To be swithering, nah, it's no, because I've fucking drank enough of that as well, and I know it's not.
What do you think it no is, and we'll confirm that and start rolling shit
Well,
out?
and this is it. It's like fucking eliminate each fucking one. So I was thinking it's kind of similar to a Glasgow 1770 peated, but it's not as sweet as what that was. Is it West Coast?
Aye.
Is it mainland?
No.
For 21 questions, all of them.
Is it Wedgwick?
No.
Your name distilleries I've never heard of it before now.
Because it looks like Ledig. That's Ledgig,
Aye.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
a J, Ledgig.
So it's basically
Was that a
Tobar.
Polish football team?
I think you beat him, kid.
I mean,
Aye, so it's basically
We're Celtic fans, by the way.
it's Tobermory Distillery's peated version.
Oh,
the peated wee bra.
People love it.
I love Leipzig as well.
I'm
It's a
really
good-
love
it's a
it.
good
Well,
club.
I think that's
I
lovely, by the
love
way.
it.
What's that in the ppm scale? What's it called? Yeah,
Even
Leipzig.
percentages.
Leipzig. Aye. It's
Right,
like-
so is that your final answer?
no, I don't. Well, no, because you tell me it's not Leipzig, so it's
That's a fair point, actually.
is it? So is it an Isla then?
Aye.
It is an
Is
Isla.
Isla.
Right, so it's quite soft. Is it a Kilwoman?
Yes.
Is it a Macker Bay? Nah, it's too dark for a fucking Macker Bay, is it? Sanic?
That was quite good, aye. I know you had about four guesses, but aye. 46%. Don't know what cash it was in, but that's...
It's been a while since I've done it.
Sanic, right? Is that the name of the bottle and that's the name of the distillery?
So aye.
Right.
Yeah.
Certainly is. That was impressive.
So aye, they're another one. They're kind of right in the middle. So like I was saying, most of those new distilleries are now 10-year-old. These guys were probably one of the earlier pioneers. So they started in 2005. I think Kilwoman started. So they were kind of ahead of the curve.
Right.
But 2005, apart from Kilwoman, I think there was only Kilkerran, opened in 2004. Nobody else had opened a distillery since 1995. It was like they were the only 3 distilleries that opened in that period. Whereas now, you've probably had something like about 27, 28 new distilleries opened up, or in planning permission or something in the last 10 years. It's fucking nuts. Whether they all survive or not.
It's actually 50 ppm.
Oh, it is 50. Do you know what? I was
By
actually...
taste, not by Google.
I was going to say... aye, I was going to say, because it tastes like a 46%er. There's something...
I don't know if the 50's my sweet
That was
spot, but I think that's
impressive,
absolutely lovely.
So ppm is like the amount.
But is it peats per...
parts per million. Aye,
Is it all
aye.
PPPM?
I was going to say P per mile.
Is that in reference to the
So it's like a scientific measurement that they use. So it's like the phenols is the smoky element that you get in the barley. But the thing that a lot of people misconcept as well is the fact of like it's only the smokiness that the barley is before it's been distilled. So once it's been through all the other processes, so once it's been mashed into like a grist, then it's been brewed into a beer, then it's been boiled through the stills, then it's been matured in a whiskey cask. That parts per million has come right down, but they only measure it at the smoking levels of the barley.
Right.
Don't know why.
Aye. So it could be different.
It will be different. Will be completely different.
That's
Yeah.
really good. Like,
It's a really good bottle, really good stuff, man.
Like
It's, and I love Kilwoman as well.
I'm still at the
Great
stage where
stuff.
I'm still just kind of learning about peated whiskey, but that was thoroughly enjoyable, like heavy good.
It's kind of you start drinking lager and then you start drinking Guinness and you start drinking Newcastle Brown Ale.
Nuki Brown.
You start moving,
Well,
you evolve.
So when I first started drinking proper whiskey, you know, I was that guy as well. When I started working in bars, I was like 17-year-old. I drank Jack and Cokes. You know, it was like I drank Southern Comfort. I even went through a period as well where I was like dropping fucking a measure of Southern Comfort in my pints. It was just depth charging them. You know? It was like leave about that much at the top of my pint and give me a Southern Comfort shot. Just fucking drop it in the bottom. Fucking get stuck.
You were drinking bombs before there were bombs.
I mean,
Fresh out of Vietnam War.
but yeah, like, so I went from that, and then I met a guy that basically I needed a flatmate. I met this guy. He's a fucking loon, absolute loon.
Do you want to go on the podcast?
No, I've been spoken to him for I don't know how many years.
What's his name?
But anyway, but yeah, so basically he needed a flat. I knew him, he'd come into the pub that I worked in all the time, seemed like a fucking solid guy, always come in. He looked kind of like a friendly travelling bear, kind of like a modern day Paddington. So he had kind of like a nice, like, big sort of like short beard, short hair, wore a wee backpack, had a shirt and tie on all the time, worked for like an insurance company or something like that. Really, really nice guy, and he was funny as fuck. And he knew his whiskey, like, unbelievable. So he'd worked for, I can't remember what bar it was, one of the bars in Speyside. I think it was like the Braemar or the Highlander or something like that. But it was, at the time, it was one of the biggest they had the biggest whisky collection in Scotland at the time. And so this guy knew his shit. I knew fucking nothing, but he was like, right, I can take you to the pub and we'll drink some good whiskies, you know. And at the time in Perth, we had some serious good whiskies behind some of the bars, you know. It was, I mean, stuff that I was drinking back then, Christ, you couldn't afford to buy a bottle nowadays, you know. It was like Linlithgow's, St Madgwin's, Rosebank's, like all the closed distilleries, you know. It was like, we were buying them for like $4.50 a nip.
Kind of like when you were younger, we had all like Pokemon cards and that, and you think, now I used to have a briefcase full of them, throw them in, and she knew they're worth thousands of pounds. You're like, why have I mistreated all of them and lost them all, or drank all these bottles?
It was like back then, you know.
Pokemon
it was like,
cards.
It's kind of similar. It's
like just take it for granted.
It's like back then, you'd be like, fucking chewing gum stuff.
A fucking Rosebank, I'm doing that in a while.
Man, you're like, oh no, that's a fucking £400 Pokemon card. So it was the same thing. We were just fucking batting them back, you know. It was just like, get stuck in. But I started the other way around. So I think the first dram that Chris gave me was a Lagavulin.
Chris's second name.
Yeah. A Lagavulin 16. And I was like, fucking hell, this is like different ball game, you know. When you're drinking Jack Daniels and stuff and Jim Beams, and then you're like, somebody gives you a Lagavulin 16, and it was like, right, this is... But that was like, I fell in love with it. And so like I started drinking Lagavulin 16s, Bunnahabhains, Iwas. Like basically all the Iwas, you know, it was. And then I went back afterwards and I was like, fuck, I'm missing out like 80% of the other whiskies regions around here, you know. I was probably one of the smallest regions in Scotland. And it was like, I'm missing out so much other stuff, man. I need to broaden my fucking horizons here, you know. So then I started drinking other stuff, and then slowly got to drinking everything. in terms of whiskey, but I mean, to be fair, I did have to kind of curtail it to an extent, because, you know, you can go into sort of like world whiskies, you can go into Japanese whiskies, and it's like that in itself is a whole different bubble. You know, it's like, I mean, you could spend your whole life just studying Japanese whiskies, and that in itself would take you a lifetime, and you still wouldn't learn everything. Scotch whisky is kind of just the one I picked, and I was just like, do you know what? Like, there's more than enough here to keep me entertained. Is certainly for the meantime anyway.
That was good. I liked that one. You still got some?
I found that. Then usually with the peated ones, if you drink it fast, you get that kind of burn sensation that rises up into your brain.
Yeah,
that's clean.
I really like that one.
I know your main screen goes up the way, man.
Aye.
Just so happens, boys, I brought you a couple of drams. It would be rude not to, you know. So I've got you
That's a kind soul, aren't you?
a couple of small sample bottles.
Oh wow.
Sean, I dare say what I've got to say is what I've learned. See if you drink a dram like a tasting session or something, somebody brings you one, you try and go, that's fucking amazing. It turns out that they're gone, you can't buy them anymore. So I've done that a few times. They only make X amount of bottles, they're single cast, but 8 bottles, they're all gone. You're just lucky to try it.
Well,
exactly.
These two, there's actually there's about half a bottle of each of these, because these
Left
are both
in the full world.
well, because I've made these myself, so these are my own blended malts.
I don't mind it.
Yeah. So one of them, like we were talking about, there's a bit of cask floaters in that one. Is
not for you drinking it right out of the bowl.
So
Bit of Schwammer King in there.
So the reason so the reason that one has got big cask floaters in it was way back when I started doing my whisky tastings online, right at the start of the pandemic. And
he's fucking pointing to the ring.
I mean, he was speaking. If he's speaking, it's that one, no? Oh, you're joking.
But yeah, so the Lindors, funny enough, I done a tasting with Lindors, and at the time they didn't actually have anything that they could legally call whiskey. Like that was the last time we done a tasting with Lindors.
So Lindors it needs to be over 3 years old to be
so
called
that was
whiskey.
Dram 2.
Right.
But it needs to be over. Age of the cask needs to be over 3 years to be called whiskey.
So my pal Murray, he was the the rep for him at the time, I think he still is actually, is Peter Murray was like, nor have we got any fucking proper whiskey, and he was like, do you know what, I'll just go in the warehouse and I'll just fucking dick you a few samples at the bars. So he literally just went in with the fucking, with the big thing and fucking pulled out, and he filled a bunch of fucking full 70cl bottles, and one of them was just full of like big chunks of the inside of the cask, and I was like, I'm using that. So I've got 2 decanters back in the house. Pour a dram.
Do you know how you get that far in the industry? You need to suck a few cocks.
No corks were sucked.
Not cocks?
So in fact, I'll give you that one second, because that's a peaty one. So basically, I made 2 blended malts at home. So one is basically, well, I'll let you try this one first and see what you think. It's like I say.
I hope that guy doesn't work for that company anymore. Was that illegal what he done?
No. It was all above board.
So he's not getting sacked.
You got it.
Thanks very much. In fact,
put into prison.
take that, man.
No worries.
You can't buy these. These are special.
You can't buy these. You can't even make these. I mean, like
That's even better.
Even I can't remember. There's been so many
Thanks very
drams
much, guy. I appreciate it.
over the years that have went into this. Is
And there's floaters in that and all, isn't there?
what I will tell you is there is 30-year-old Macallans in there. There's also
I was going to say that now.
I've not tried Miami floaters. I've not liked it.
there's
I know.
there's also like 1980s Glendronach in here as well. There's like there's some crazy stuff in here.
I take the words right in my mouth.
The problem was I started writing notes, and every time I put a dram in, I would try and take a note of what I'd put in it.
So how many drams are in it?
Was there any rhyme or reason to what you're putting in it? Or did you think that's where it was missing?
Yeah, that's
So
it.
what is the concept is an infinite bottle?
Yeah,
So-
it's so two, one peated, one unpeated. So this is the unpeated version.
Right, so for people watching, the concept of an infinity bottle is an empty bottle you've got in the house, or something that's got a wee bit left. You just pour a wee bit more in from another bottle that's about to finish, turns into something that never finishes because it keeps getting topped up.
Yeah,
So that's the concept.
never let it get below about half full.
Right.
Is the idea. You know, it's like, and then you basically keep topping up. But like you say, the idea is it gets to about half, 2/3 full. Take a dram, couple of drams, and you go, what's the need?
Can I give it to Sean layman's terms?
Yes.
This is a blend of different drams. There's 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds. Even Guy can't remember what's in it, so you'll never be able to try this again.
Aye.
Just
But
keep topping up.
What he thinks is missing.
So playing Ring of Fire, but with expensive drams.
So,
Ring a fire on a nice bowl.
I mean,
It's about 400 quid worth of liquid. there.
Cheers, Guy. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it could be absolutely fucking rank.
Have you not tried them, no?
Not recently. It's probably been a month or two since I tried it.
Nice. Very sweet. Fresh move.
My bottle map's about to fucking burst into flames, man.
I just think
myself.
I think it's mad that I'm not saying you have, that it's more likely for us that we try drams that are older than us. We actually try things that are older than us.
Yeah,
As you get older, that becomes very expensive.
I was going to say, unfortunately, I don't get to try many fucking drams these days. They're older than me, man. You know, it's like,
After you said that, I was like, I can't believe you've done that to our guest saying that. No, maybe not for you, but for us.
What?
Did you not say that the dram was older than us, but no him?
Aye, basically, aye.
That's ridiculous.
No, I said, basically as you get older, it's more rare and also more expensive.
aye, which is true enough. You know, it's like, I mean,
Sorry, Gary, he's not coming back, man. That's too far.
I mean,
Who is that guy?
it's. I mean, if I want to buy a single
show your
malt
age here.
distilled in the early 1980s, it's not going to be fucking cheap.
No, it's no.
Is but you can still buy an old blend from the early 1980s, and it's very well priced. You know, unfortunately, the prices are going up. It's another one, a big misconception. You know, I think in general is everybody thinks that single malts and single cask whiskey is so much better than blends. as you guys know, I'm a absolute diehard old blend fan. I spend most of my money on whiskey goes on old blends. But that was because, one, they were really good, and two, they were quite well priced.
When you say an old blend, what is old and blend terms?
So, just want to clarify this, right? I've got this written down to ask you these questions. Your favourite drams were, because you work in an auction house, I see the stuff that you buy and you post it online, and it's always, you say this is well priced, and it's always is an old blend. And Anton just asked the question, but if anyone follows you online, they'll probably see this.
What's a good old blend to buy?
No, just stuff that you usually buy, because I've seen you
fucking buy everything. That's a problem. I'm like, oh, that's fucking cheap. Oh, that's also cheap. And I'm like, so this month I am up to about 7 bottles I've bought this month already.
Aye.
And I've probably just missed an online auction that was meant to be on the night as well, which I did have a couple of bids on, but if I get it, I get it. If I don't,
fingers crossed.
How much are these blends and what age are they? What's the rough gives it an idea what they are?
So, I mean, it's more going back to when they were bottled with the blends. So, 1980s, 1990s blends, you can still buy for peanuts, like 20, 30 quid a bottle. 1960s, 1970s, 80s blends start to get a wee bit pricier, so you could be anywhere between maybe 30 quid and 70, 80 quid, depending on what it is. So, like, there's certain brands that everybody's after. So, White Horse, you get a 1970s White Horse. I used to buy that stuff for like £12 a bottle. Nobody could fucking give it away.
It's illegal to buy for £12 a bottle these days.
Right, you can't buy any bottle of whiskey for £12 nowadays, man.
Catch us at the right time, we'll try.
Can I buy a bottle of cider these days for £12?
Minimum pricing laws and everything else. But aye, when the online whiskey auctions first started, it was like a gold mine of just stuff, and people didn't want to buy blends. That was the whole market was geared up for single malts.
Lads, I think we've about 10 minutes left. Right? Just back 2 seconds.
I better fucking pour this one.
Anything you want to say about Jason saying now?
So this is the second one of my homemade blends.
You are invited back on the podcast.
So this one is the peated version. Now I don't think it's that heavily peated, but it's again, it's got a lot of old stuff, it's got a lot of young stuff.
How many drams are in here, do you reckon?
So is this a peated version just because...
40, 50 different drams?
Huh? Single malts, all single malts, no grain.
Give me a bit for him. I know he's away a bit.
For fuck's sake.
Is it...
Nah, I'm only kidding. I've got the rest of this at home. I only just brought us enough for a...
Thanks very much, Kai.
Is it peated because there's been a heavily peated whiskey that you blended in with, or have they all been kind of peated ones?
Yeah, they've all peated, those are mixed.
They've all been peated, but Lefroy was a base mark, and then I kind of worked back for that, because obviously Lefroy is going to overpower.
See, when you were adding the drams in, were you tasting in between or just adding bits and bits? Does that make sense?
Leave it for about a week or two, then taste.
So how long did it take you to make that spit?
Oh, that's been going for like 9 years.
Something like that.
But there's still like half a bottle left.
It's just it's the same with the single cask, the single malt, and aging any spirit. It's the love that's put in it. Like you've actually spent 9 years making that, and we get to enjoy it tonight, and you can't buy it.
Well, the weird one is as well was like with this one, because like I say, that was the one that Murray gave me the big cask sample. So that was like there was so much fucking char in the bottom of the cask, and I was like, that's going to keep maturing the whiskey. Just even all that. I mean, you've not got nearly as much of the chunks as what's in the bottom of my decanter.
I like the chunks.
I mean, there's big chunks.
40, 50 drams.
Fill your boots, mate.
Took Gary 9 years to do it. Every dram is peated.
I feel like the liquid of that's
last
different.
slange.
Cheers,
Boys. Thank you very much.
I feel like it's like heavier or something.
So
a different
So
texture.
that's, mate, that's what I find good about whiskey is that I buy it. See the way it goes, so when you drink it, it goes up the way. Sometimes it's...
Feels different with your tongue.
Aye.
So this will be a mix of Iowas, Highlands. There probably is some 1990s Highland Park in there, I think, as well. So it was a balance of peat. This one, did you get floaters, Jace?
I do, aye.
You're the lucky one.
Lucky you.
Oh, sorry, I've already had a drink out it, it's probably me.
I was going to shake the decanter up to try and get some in, but I mean, like, I'm talking, some of them are like proper fucking chunks of cask in there, and I was like, I'm just going to leave that in there and just like, that's just going to mature it all as well, you know.
It's a good way to look at it. I've never really thought about it like that.
But yeah, I mean, that's, to be fair, for me, the peaty one has got more going on than that. That needs a bit of work.
So I still find like peat is a wee bit beyond me. But see that, the last dram, the Kilchoman, or Kilchoman, however you say it, I loved it.
Is that your favourite peated one you've had?
Probably, because it was like, but it's like the same way you start drinking whiskey and you realise you find one that's it's no whiskey anymore. It's a whiskey that's got a flavour to it. So that's like not a peated whiskey, that's just a whiskey that's got peat in it.
Guy's one's nicer on the lips. Does that make sense than some unpeated ones?
I think that there's...
I don't know how to explain that one, big man.
Can I get that voice? But no, I mean, I think again, it's building it. It's building it, and it's going like, does it need more alcohol? Does it need more peat? Is the peat kind of falling off? Does it need more sherry? Does it need more sweetness? What is it that's missing? And then raking about in the cupboard in amongst 20, 30 open bottles and going, right, fucking Benelwick 5-year-old, straight up bourbon, that's what it needs. You know, it's like, and you give it a wee dick of that, you leave it for a week or so, and then go back and taste it, and you go, it's getting better. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, so it's just, it's
like the flavour of it, but it'll be changing constantly, is it no? If you're
always, but I always think you need that sort of like, give it a week or two just in the bottle, just to mellow off. Mm-hmm. Same thing you would do as a blender if you were making blends in a cask, or vatting blends. You know, you can't just throw it all into a vat and go like, right, well, we've used exactly the same measurements and exactly the same whiskies and we've done everything precise. Throw it in and do exactly the same again, and you're going to get the same whiskey.
Somebody's got to taste it.
Doesn't work
somebody's
like
got to do it. It's a hard job.
Doesn't work like that, you know.
I find myself saying, no, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
Well,
if you're looking for a blender.
And it gets even harder as well, you know, when you're talking about single malts is one thing. So like if you're talking about say a Glenfiddich 12, for instance, right? You think how many million fucking bottles of Glenfiddich 12 get sold around the world? I mean, millions of cases. Trying to make sure that that's exactly the same dram that you get when you buy it in Taiwan or Taipei or...
What was the Scottish town you said, give me a tea? Thailand tea.
I thought you said Thailand. If we said Thailand was a Scottish place we were talking about.
Torquay, Thailand.
It could be it could be Torquay.
Okay, I get a Scottish. What was the Scottish one?
The
Tyree.
Tyree. Yeah, you said something else earlier, but
I think it was Tan the Villain was, but Tan the Villain's not.
Tyne Village.
The whole thing is that regardless of where you buy that whiskey, it should taste exactly the same in a bottle wherever you are in the world.
Aye.
And so when you're making something like a Glenfiddich 12, that's a big task because you're making big vats. I mean, big vats of whiskey. And that's what I think a lot of people miss. Certainly like in the early days of sort of learning whiskey is you can buy a single malt and you can buy it for 30 quid. But that will be a vatting of tens of thousands of casks, you know. But it's still a single malt because it's all for the same distillery.
This is why what we sell is single cask.
Whereas a single cask...
Explain it, because I've been ruined by the single cask. I've tasted the top.
A single cask is a snapshot. it's a one-off. You know, once it's gone, it's gone. You know, you've only got maybe 200, 500 bottles.
What single cask means then? One and then
Single, aye.
A single cask is just one run, one cask. Whereas, you know, you're Glenfiddich 12 or your Balvenie 12.
It's a blend of every single one.
Thousands of casks.
Right.
You know, it's like, but they'll all be 12-year-old. They'll all be from Balvenie. But it will make the 12-year-old.
Yeah.
They'll all be from the same single malt.
And that's why you're basically paying more money for a single cask, is because it's a snapshot. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Unique, isn't it?
You can't get another one.
Right.
Right.
So, thank you very much. That was lovely.
But the whiskey or the chat?
No, the whiskey was good. The 2 whiskies that you brought was good.
Chat was shite.
Both were excellent.
I was tuning them for a wee while. I was on the toilet still tuning it, and I was actually really good, man. But I've got some quick fire questions for you. In fact, quite ask you them as well. Just all-time favourite dram?
I'll go with Highland Park.
The correct answer is the first one. I was
Wrong.
1963, Bunnahabhain Old Acquaintance.
Right. Fuck it. I can't correct that one there.
That's what I was going to say.
Distillery. Lafroig.
He's going to say Highland Park for me.
Which one was your favourite tonight?
Favourite dram of the night?
Favourite drama night. My favourite one was
First one.
probably the third
Still no
peated one, mate, to be honest.
Nice.
Aye.
Nice.
Third.
Aye,
Yours?
The one you said. Not the.
Oh, the third. Right.
Your third one?
Kilhoman.
Aye.
How do you say that? Kilhoman or Kilcoman?
Kilhoman.
What
I
camera?
said that, didn't
One
I?
each. Yep. Sorry, what was the one
Please cut him
before?
out of doing that, mate. That's too far.
What was the other question you asked me?
The quick fire questions at the window here.
I just got you said, what was your favourite drama night? I'm like, oh, Highland Park.
Right, favourite whiskey bar?
Pot still.
Favourite what?
Whiskey bar.
This one, Piper Bar.
Good answer.
Okay.
Our sponsors. It's no sponsored fuck all, actually. Non-whiskey bar.
Bloody well. It's my local.
Good on you.
Say it, Sean.
What one?
Say it, Sean. Say it, Sean, as he pokes him with a stick.
Blink twice if you're right.
Is it Tobacco?
Ah, nice.
I like
I like
tobacco.
tobacco. It's a good pub.
Will it be pub though?
Aye, do you like tobacco, Gary? Aye. You got a good relationship with him, aye?
You started to say, you started to say something with your tone?
Aye.
They were.
Thanks for coming. Same with yourself, Gary. The drams were fantastic. I really appreciate your time. The whole point of this was to try and get people. Listen, I'm slurring my words now. My whole point is to try and get people. That's what whiskey's all about. Go and have a dram. Go and talk to folk. Go and fucking ask your bartender.
Aye.
What do you recommend to go and have a dram? Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for bringing the whiskey. Again, thanks very much for getting to the end of a fucking podcast of this. I don't know, you must have lost us in the middle there for a wee bit, but anyway, cheers guys. Thanks.